So I'm away now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us and welcome to this month of June, Ananse Tech Community Meeting. Apologies that we didn't actually have our May meeting, but we thank you for coming this month. And this meeting, this Ananse Tech Community is hosted by CISA Tech, which is a company in Ghana, and NTC Tech, which is a company inside of the States. Just a friendly reminder that all meetings are recorded and posted to our community YouTube channel, usually tomorrow. If you do not wish to be recorded, you can stay on mute and stay off camera, or you can disengage from the call and watch the recording. So we just went through our arrivals. And today we got about 3 speakers, but before we go through that, we have our greetings and agenda. We'll meet the team. We'll talk about Ananse in short. We'll do our call for speakers, sponsors, and volunteers. We have a couple of community announcements, and then we'll get into speaker time. And then if we have time at the end, we'll do a little bit of networking, and then we'll close. So here's the Ananse Tech Community team. You have myself as a co-founder who is also the host for today. You have Sigil and Harry and Imani, all co-founders, and we're all for CISA and NTC Tech. So this group was set up for the youth as well as young professionals and professionals in general interested in or entering into careers around Microsoft, especially around Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Teams, Power Platform, and related technology. We hold our meetings monthly. We have topics around the tech as well as tech career and career topics. And then we also try to have networking time each session. For our events, for the blogs, discussion, and Q&A, we're now directing you towards our community that's on the Microsoft Tech Community. And the reason for that is because it's easier once you sign up. You'll get notifications when you register for events, automatically notified, and whenever we put out any comments or anything on the events or post any blogs or discussions, you'll be the first to know because it will be sent to you. You can feel free to get social with us about this meeting on your favorite social media platform using the hashtags Ananse Tech Community and or Ananse Tech if you like. And those hashtags are at the bottom of the screen as well as our new email. So our email used to be on the NTC Tech side, but because CISA is the main sponsor and host for Ananse Tech, we have moved the handle. So our new email is anancetech@cisatechafrica.com. If you have any questions or ever want to reach out, that's the email to reach out to us about the community. And as I was telling you, we have moved, or we haven't moved it yet actually. We have now a community on Microsoft Tech Communities. The link is directly on the slide, which you will be able to access the link during the recap, or be able to access this deck from the recap. But this is directly on the slide. You can also go to the Microsoft Technical Communities, click on the More drop down, and then choose the user groups from the More options, and then search for Ananse Tech community there. And when you find it, you'll land on this community page that you see. Now you may have to register first if you haven't registered at all for the Microsoft Tech community. You just simply click the register link at the top. There will be one at the very top around where you see my name on the top right hand corner. Or you can click join to join the meeting, join the community if you're already registered. Okay. Now we always are having our calls for speakers, for sponsors, and volunteers. For speakers, if you scan that QR code, you're able to get to our speaker form and select what months you might want to speak, what your topics are. And again, we're accepting topics around Microsoft and related topics. around Microsoft 365 Power Platform and related topics, which includes like SharePoint and Teams and things like that. But also other topics around other types of technology that has to do with it, like maybe migration tools for SharePoint and things like that. We're also looking for tech career topics. So things like how to manage your portfolio, how to be an IT professional, to tech topics like how to manage your LinkedIn, how to do time management, manage your time properly. So all those types of topics are those that are open. So if you are a speaker or even a new speaker, you haven't never spoke before, the user group community is a great place to start speaking. So you can enter your topic and then we will get back to you to speak at one of our upcoming events. Sponsors, we're always looking for sponsors, especially when we have our in-person meeting, which would be more like a mini conference or maybe even a day conference. So sponsors, if you're looking for that, but also sponsors that may have rooms that are available or want to give in-kind donations like swag. So maybe you have a book that you wrote and you want to give it away. You can do that. Maybe you have some swag, Microsoft swag left over from something, or you have other types of things that you want to give away to the community. We would be happy to have those types of sponsorships as well. And then for volunteers, we're always looking for volunteers to help us run the community in a more an efficient way. More hands make the work lighter. So if you're looking for things to help to do to help a technical community, or even you're in the tech community and you want something to put on your resume, for those that volunteer with us for at least 3 months, we will provide you a letter of recommendation for a job well done. We are still looking for volunteers that'll help us with attendees, especially, and then the meeting coordinator, ones that will help us when we are running these meetings, and then our social media coordinator as well, looking for those types of volunteers. So if you would like to volunteer or you know someone, you can reach out to the email. Same thing with sponsoring. If you know somebody would like to sponsor or you'd like to, please use the email anansetech@sistertechafrica.com. So a huge thanks to our current volunteer, and actually he's not newly onboarded. I forgot to change the slide. But Michael, thank you so much for helping us with the, and actually he's the speaker coordinator, not the attendee coordinator now. So there's that. And then Harrison, huge thank you to Harrison, who has helped us for a long period of time, especially during the beginning of this year and last year. All right, some community announcements. So if you have announcements that's relevant to the community, you know of conferences, you know of events around Microsoft, around tech career, or around career in general, please let us know. You can send us an email at anansetech@sistertechafrica.com, and we will include it in our next meetings. But for now, there's the Dynamics Con Regional Africa Conference. And our team will be there. And I think I have a speaking slot there, but I think one of our other team might also have one as well. But you can join us there. It's a free event. The tickets are selling out fast. So if you really want to go, I would look this up or get this link and then actually register to go as soon as possible, because they are running out of tickets. They are free tickets. They feed you and everything. It's an all-day event. It is awesome. We've been there before. Great networking opportunities. So we encourage you all to join us. And then this conference is a little bit later. So it's Agile in Africa Conference. This one's in October. Oh, let me go back. So the Dynamics Conference, that's at the end of July. July 25th. It's on a Saturday, and it's going to be in Accra. And then the Agile in Africa Conference, that one's going to be at the University of Ghana. It's October 28th and 29th, and there is a cost. So this one is for a regular attendee, it's 750 CDs. But if you're a corporate attendee and you purchase more than 5 tickets, you can get the 700 ticket cost. All right. So here's our schedule. We meet every fourth Thursday of the month. And currently we're only meeting online until further notice. But once we get enough attendees, then we will plan to have a mini conference, and we will announce that when that time comes. This is a tech community or community in general. So each one teach one. It takes a village and it takes a community to build everyone up. So if you have folks that you know of that are in this tech community and would benefit from our sessions, please ask them to join. They can join the Microsoft Ananse Tech community on the Microsoft community. They can all technical communities. They can also reach out to us if you want to write blogs for the Ananse Tech community. We now have a space on the Microsoft technical communities, so you can reach out for that as well. Okay, so we're about to get to our customer story. So my slides froze for a second, so on slides. Okay, here we go. All right. So this is our customer story. It's for Forlist Group, and it's on Microsoft Office 365. So let's go ahead and watch.
Forlist Group operates in 5 countries, employing approximately 4,000 employees and operates about 130 retail outlets. Because of the widely dispersed outlets of IKEA and Intersport, effective and speedy communication of company news to all our employees had long been a difficult task. We sought to find a tool that would allow for two-way communication with our people. A tool with which we could share our news while allowing our employees to come into contact with us and share their ideas, which was actually a key finding in our annual employee survey. We chose a fresh solution. We decided to proceed with a social network, Yammer by Microsoft. We were surprised to see how the older generations embraced it, something we did not expect, and these people became ambassadors to younger employees.
Yammer is a tool that gives us the opportunity to put forward and promote clever ideas and best practices. In this way, through Yammer, each IKEA store can apply best practices from another store, implementing what we call copy with pride. Each and every employee can, through his or her mobile phone, take a photo of a successful display and post it instantly on Yammer.
With employees from 4 different generations, we had to find a solution, a tool that would be easy to use for the older generations, but attractive enough for the younger employees, to ensure that everyone would engage in using it from their personal mobile phone, thus making the flow of information quick and effective.
It is a living network, immediate, where everyone can express themselves freely. With Yammer, we succeeded in minimizing the distance between the multiple points of sales of Intersport and the athlete's foot, and succeeded in sharing the moment. Moments full of unique experiences and accomplishments of all our employees. Besides, Yammer itself invites you to express yourself freely.
During the 3 years since we implemented Yammer, we have succeeded in bringing people closer together, sharing our accomplishments and ideas so that we can become more effective and successful in achieving the group's targets.
Okay, so that was actually on a portion of, whoops, let me pause this. Okay, that was actually on a portion of Microsoft Office 365 called Yammer. It's kind of like an internal social board type network type thing that you can also have people that's external actually join the conversations. So there's lots of uses for Yammer, from internal conversations and idea sharing to idea sharing and external conversations with like customers and vendors and folks that you work with.
Patients are...
Okay. So now it's speaker time. So first up, we have Cheshko, and if I said your name wrong, please correct me when you get on here. And then next we have who will be talking about AI-assisted Canvas app development. And then we have Wilfred, who will talk about Microsoft Intune and give us a little one-on-one on that. And then for our career talk, we're going to have our very own Sigu Asando, who will talk about how he broke into his career into tech, which happened kind of recently. So he'll explain all of that. Okay, so first up, we have Cheshko. If I didn't say that right, again, please forgive me and please correct me. But go ahead, the floor is yours. You can go ahead and share your screen now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Please, can you see me? Can you hear me well?
Can see you and hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank Nikki for the opportunity. And I would say last month we were supposed to have this, but everybody was quite busy. And so when I saw the message that, okay, can you push it to next month? I was like, oh, thank God, because I was quite stressed with my up and down and co. So thank as well. And we all have time to do this community thing. It's not actually easy. I just encourage everybody that is around doing this kind of job. I'm just encouraging everyone, all of my colleagues here, Wilfred, and then the other speaker as well. And thank you guys for the great work. So let me start sharing my screen and then we dive into the topic of today. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
Sure. Oops. All right, so today we are going to talk about AI-assisted Canvas app development. We are in the era of AI and we can't neglect it. No one will say AI is a taboo, and no one will say we don't use AI in our company. Before you realize, you as a normal employee working with someone and hiding yourself using AI, your director or the CEO of the company is drafting policies of the company using AI itself. So no one is expected except from this. Everybody is welcome to use AI as long as you use it well and you know the best practice to use AI in your development or whatever you find yourself in. So I used to build Canvas app and when I started using Canva apps, Power Apps, it was a bit difficult, the UI. Let's say it was totally weird. The design studio, the complexity for you to come up with a better Canvas app is not easy. It takes a lot of time of development. And if you're someone who is new to UI design, and you end up designing a very good solution that does the work for the company or for yourself, but the UI is totally bad that only you end up using it and the rest of your teammate that maybe you do it for will not be interested in using it, because sometimes you build also to attract others, because sometimes when the app is beautiful, you also work on it, you also use it. And for that one, I would say somebody told me some time ago that if you look at the banking systems, companies, their apps are totally standard. Yeah, it's true, but they have to use it. But we are talking about organizations, apps that we normally use, and you want it to be beautiful, to be attractive, you know. So Power Apps at the beginning was very difficult, but I found my way to build it to make sure I design perfectly a good app, and that's what makes me stand out throughout these years from the whole, and that's what gives me a lot of opportunity out there. So today we talk about this. So let's come back to me. I am Chesco I, and Microsoft MVP, MCT, all those titles, yeah. I'm based in Ghana. I build Power Platform solution for clients across the globe. So when I say the globe, it's not only Africa, it's not only Ghana. I build for companies. sorry. I build for companies in Dubai, in Belgium, in France, in UK, in Denmark, in US, Canada. I cut across a bit. Maybe the only country I've not touched yet or continent is Antarctica. But since there is no one there, then there is no opportunity there for me now. That is about me. And fun fact about me is I like playing games, but I don't like playing football games. Everybody here will be like, why this guy doesn't play football game? Yeah, well, I'm not fan of it. Great. So let's jump into the agenda. Today we will talk about the reality of Canvas dev, where things get hard, and then how Claude in here, when you meet Claude, and then how it fits in, and then the prompts and what you should do, and I will give you a little demo. So I will focus on the demo, and don't worry, the demo, I know sometimes you have issues with demo, but I'm well prepared of it, and I pray for the God of demo to allow me to proceed smoothly as well. All right, so let's see our next slide. So building with Canvas app is fast, then building well is hard. So when I say it's fast, I mean you can just create your database either in SharePoint or in Dataverse or wherever it is fine. Then you just call the data, you just proceed it, and then it generates a standard app for you, which you all know about Canvas and how it goes. Now, PowerFS on its own is totally different, and not everybody is used to PowerFS when people come new to it, but it kind of looks similar to Excel formulas, but most of the time not everybody come from Excel background, so they have to readjust. And there is this they call delegation, there is this for all, context, global variables, and there are a lot of things there. But so when you are new, become a little difficult. And then repetitive plumbing, whereby they are forms, they are validating, there is this patch yet, and all those things. Sometimes you don't even know how to handle the coding properly, because maybe the person coming or doing the work is not a developer or does not have a background in development. You just know that Power Platform or Power Apps is a low-code environment development. So he too can build it, which is totally fine. Now, alongside, before you start getting to know that, okay, there are some ways of aligning the code or making the code more readable and more simple. So all these things are part of the normal building Canvas fast, because it will build it for you easily when you go. And then the debugging side, sometimes you have a lot of issues. You go and watch tutorials for Reza Dorani, Matthew Divani, and all those one, and you have to go through, and it's always like that. My life has always been like that, going through tutorials and up to date. I always go back to the tutorials, to the videos, to the documentation. I always do that, you know. And Claude came in. So what is Claude? An assistant AI from Anthropic, yeah. That's strong, with a strong coding understanding, and then it helps us here in PowerFS. So actually, Claude doesn't know much about PowerFS. So what you need to do is just to guide code. So you can integrate Claude in VS Code. We can also add it into our browser, our Google Chrome browser, and that one is the co-work, and it can help do the work over there. I've not tried that side. Me, I like the hard side. So I chat directly with Claude in the normal chat and then build my canvas for me. So that is about Claude. We all know about Claude already, and I don't want to go into that. Now, where Claude fits into Canvas, when you are building, when you are planning first, the plan, the build, the fix, and the polish. So the plans come with the schema, how the things should go. And now that Claude has a place where you can create the workflows diagram, so it becomes unified again. So you also have the screens. Claude can give you an idea of how the screen should look like. At a go, Claude can give you just a fair view, or you can just generate a random app with Claude, either using normal HTML, CSS that is just going to be a template for you, or just ask Claude to generate something like that. Then you proceed with it. Claude can also help you with the data shape. And while you are building, it can also help you with sample data over there. Now, coming to the build, the PowerFS code, the controls, the collections, all those one Claude can also help in it. Now, sometimes there are some code I use to store them in a notebook, so that when I forget or when I need them, I go to them, because, well, my head is not that big for me to know all of them. So the least I can know, I can get in this memory card, I just put it in. But I don't get all of them, so I always ask either Claude or Google it or look for documentation to get it more. So Claude can easily help us with the formulas here quickly, the controls and the collection. It can easily help you create quick collection just to see how your work is going. Now the fees, the error handling, the delegation, performance, and those things. So all those one can be handled by Claude. We are assuming here that Claude is like an expert in Power Platforms or Power Apps, Canvas, and then he understands totally everything around the technology and can take us through the polish, the naming, the theming, the comment, the refactor. So when it comes to the naming, sometimes we just bring the control and you have button 1, the next button 2, the next screen 1. And imagine you have up to 7 screens and the app is loaded already. So you can imagine there are hundreds of controls over there, and then you are looking for this particular submit button control that you can't find because the code is already messy. But if you use Claude, you can actually get some nice naming convention that can easily help you track whatever control or button you are looking for in your app. And if you want to make some nice styling, you can also do that. And since Claude is helping you building with the formulas, integrating the comment in it will be very smooth and easy to go. Now let's see the next. What is actually used for Claude? What I actually use for Claude in my Power Apps for the formula, the delegation, to refactor some screen. Sometimes the code is long, maybe in the submit, and the code is not well aligned. So I use it and explain unfamiliar code. If I inherit a project from another developer and I want to work on it, there are some parts the code is more like 100 lines, and then or like I say, yeah, 100 line, yeah, mostly see that. Then you just ask Claude to explain the code for you, and then the UI, and that is mostly the part that I mostly like about the whole thing, because the rest I normally do it on my own. But the UI is mostly something that not everybody or not all of us know better. And then getting the perfect UI that fits for every screen, every body, like even for the impair, Claude is good at those things. While we would take it will take a lot of me like this to build such a UI. Now the pattern and the best practice. So all this one come together when I'm building my Claude, but the one I'm mostly focused on is the UI, the US, so mostly the UI US, and I mostly use this particular one to fast track what I'm doing, because once I get my data tables ready, I need the UI so I can connect the data and then try to send data to the backend, try to read data, and then try to manipulate whatever I need to do in the app. Now, prompting Claude for PowerFX. Now, when I say write me a PowerFX formula to filter records, it actually doesn't make sense, you understand? And then we shouldn't be lazy for querying Claude, even if our code will just generate 2 lines. We make sure we give enough details for Claude. So the other version of the prompt is database table, is remittance, that is the table we are calling. Now filter where the status, pending, and branch is equal to user current branch must be delegable. So this like this is far better than the first one, because the first one we are not directing the AI to which table to use. Now what the AI will do is that it will give us a random name with maybe your database name, and then whatever else filtering it should be in, it will just give you how do you call it, placeholders for you to fit in. But when you give it all the details, this is the table, or this is my SharePoint list name, and this is the columns I'm filtering, and this is what I want as a result. So once you give that detail, then Claude will give you the exact thing, and you don't need to even worry too much. You just copy and paste it, and you realize that you are good to go. Okay. So it's co-pilot, not a co-architect. We also know that Claude or AI are very good nowadays. Since the beginning of ChatGPT till date, AI in a whole has grown very, very, very far than what we are expecting. And even though it has grown, it's known at that top, it always make mistake. So we verify before we ship. And remind delegation. This is in Power Apps, so you always have to see the delegation. You don't paste secrets. Like there are some parts you don't need to paste it. Your judgment still win. So whenever you see the code, you always have to verify, does it make sense? Is this perfect? Even though Copilot has done it perfectly, so Copilot, Claude actually, has done it perfectly, does it make sense? Is it perfect? They want to see that, okay, all this in is set, then we can proceed. So like I say again, this is not actually an architect. So it's just like you are a boss, and then you hired someone that you can reduce your project at, and that person is just a junior under you, and that person can help you. So you just you just give the job to that person to work for you, and you guide that person to do the work. So that is Copilot, or that is Claude, or that is AI when you are coming to develop something. Maybe in the future, AI could be totally independent on its own, but for now, it still needs us to guide it. Now, let's see. Now you go to the demo itself. And I've already prepared something put down. So let me stop share presenting. Let me see. All right. So I'm in Claude here. And then I have a long prompt that I give to Claude. And first of all, before I start any of this, I create a project. And in that project, I start my discussion. Reason means I want all the knowledge to be based in this project, so that whenever I initiate another discussion in this project, all the knowledge are transferred and it can process it easily, rather than me creating different charts with Claude. Now, on the other hand, I have my Power App Studio. Sorry. So I have my Power App. So I open a design. I'm opening the design studio and I go to the blank screen. Let me just select a tablet size. Opening a standard screen. While this is loading, we go to our prompt. So here I'm asking Claude that I am building a leave management app using Canvas Power Apps, and I need the complete YAML code. So this is telling Claude that I'm very lazy, so just build the full system for me. Now, this YAML is like the source code of the Canvas Studio. So sometimes ago, Microsoft released it out and then we're able to use it. So when you come here and you do a copy, you actually copy this as a code. And how does this code look like? This is an example of the code of the YAM, YAML, how it look like. I've just opened it in my VS Code, and this is how it look like actually. So you don't need to code it on your own because it's too much of things me myself I don't understand, but I easily can read it. That's why I put it in the editor so that I can easily read it. So this is my studio that is opened. Let's come back to our prompt. So I generated a prompt. Ask Claude to generate me the app fully. You have a login screen, an employee dashboard, manager dashboard, apply for leave, leave history, admin panel. Now there are other guidance. The output must be valid Power Apps canvas that can be pasted directly into my Power Apps Studio. You understand? And with this directive, Claude will just give you what you want. So also say use control like label, button, text input, and those things. And then an example of the color. And so this is actually a prompt that I generated using a single chat with Claude again to just help me generate this prompt. The only thing that is missing from this prompt is I am not telling Claude to act as an expert. So at this place, I would say that Claude is just acting on his own knowledge to just build the whole thing for me. And Claude went and create some screens for me. So when I click on this is screen number 1. That is the login. So I have the screen. I don't need to do anything else. I just copy it. So let me just bring it at one side. I copy this login screen. I come to my studio and I paste it. And here you are. The screen is already made. So let's say within 10 minutes, I have a simple screen. Now, ordinarily, if I'm supposed to create this screen, it will take me a little more time. But let's say I have my screen 1. So I proceed with screen 2. Go back to Claude. Select screen 2. This is screen 2. I copy. We come back here and I paste it. Now the code is a bit long, that's why it's loading. So right now, the screen 2 is here. It's pretty simple. It's cool. I like the UI because if it was me, what I would need to do is I have to draft or I have to think of how the UI should be, how the navigation should be, and now trying to design this gallery to drag the control, the labels in. But all this one is just done with a single prompt. Let me add the rest of the screen and I just copy them. I think I have 6 screen, so this is 5, and the last one. Now let's go to screen 3. I'm pasting my screen 3. Okay, you go to screen 4. Okay, screen 5. And the last screen, screen 6. Okay, let it load. So now what I need to do is to rename my screen to match everything. That's why I can see there's error. So let me just correct the error. Okay, you have employee data dashboard, which is the screen 2. So I'm just making it. Then let's see this. Apply leave. That should be the next screen. Nope. Let me locate. Yeah, this is apply. So I'm just putting it here. I leave history. Yeah. No, this is approval. Yeah, this is leave. So I'm putting it in. Manager dashboard. That should be this. And then the last one, admin. Okay, so let me verify my error log. All right, I have something here. All right, light bulb. So let me see. What's light? Bingo. All right, now there is no error. So let me save. We name it Claude Leave App. So within how many minutes I was able to create this? So let's start from screen 1. Okay, let me name this. The label is screen, then you put the login. All right. So let's play the app and see how it does. So you have sign in. Then you are in the next screen. Click on apply to leave. Then you move to the next. Then you come to my leave. And let's see. Yep. Everything is working fine. Perfect. And you go to approval. Yep. With the notification. And you come to the admin. The admin can add a new type. Okay, this is not yet done. But in overall, the app is totally ready. So let me see if I publish. Now you would think that this was smooth. This was not smooth because there were some errors, and I always have to go back to Claude and tell it that, look, this particular place that you did, there were some errors. So let me quickly go to that. All right. So when I started the screen 1, I got error. So I dropped the error to Claude. Claude corrected it, and it gave them to me. So I added the screen 1 again, and I still got error. He corrected it again, and then sent me the response. And then at this time I put it, it works. Then I moved to screen 2. The same thing, I got errors. I give the error back, I work on it. I give error, I get error until it's done. Then once it got most of the things, then it continue moving from screen to screen, and it become easier for Claude to understand the how the power apps code works. That is also why it's good to have it in a project, so that the AI continue learning and leverage this learning to work on the other charts that will proceed. So when I was doing it once, what I found was that some of the error actually simple typing error. So sometimes Claude does not understand how the YAM code work. So this is my VS code, and I've used the a particular code here that was generated. These are both the same, but Claude got one part, it got an error at one side. So let me try and locate it. Okay. On the onSelect button, how the code should be generated, this is line 220. Okay, so Claude actually gave me this, that this is how the code should be. So when I pasted it in the studio, I got error that to return it. And when I returned, then Claude rearranged the code and then got me this. So on the onSelect, if he had to be in the code, the right way is actually to bring this first before bringing this, and then it works. But at first, Claude did not know how it works and got me this without that. And then you could see that's why this was red. So when I get the error first, I try to understand why is the error, and I paste it here before I realized that this was red. And I was like, okay. Then I report the error back to Claude. And then when Claude finished the editing, then I got back, okay. So we actually adjusted or added this, and then the code worked perfectly. So basically, the error that the code that will be generated will not be that good. So you just need to understand, have a time to read through it, take your time, and then if you are getting error, keep giving the error back, because the AI need to learn and understand. And sometimes in the error, there is a Microsoft links over there that actually help Claude to re-understand some of the controls, how they works, what are their properties, and then how it can be used in a particular code. So I didn't ask Claude to build me the full app, but I asked it to build the screens, and it built the screens one by one, so I can easily debug it. Now, you can be lazy and give it to build a full app, but I don't advise that. I would just say build it simple, right from the scratch, like the way I did. Now, the only thing is left for me from this app is to just connect to my database and then start changing whatever is here as a collection back into my actual data, and then it works. So let's play the app and see. Yep. So right now there's no data, but the UI is perfect. So boom, we have something like this. The only thing that is left for the developer for me is just to change the logo, and if the name and whatever is here that I need to change. Then when the person click, I know the navigation is not quite that interesting because the icon are too big or are not that interesting. So I can go to Fave icon or whichever icon that I like. Then I change this icon here. But let's see the navigation. Quite impressive. The navigation is cool. It moves smoothly, and it labeled the next screen available. So it's quite good. The controls with the colors are also very good. Okay, this one is not supposed to be here. That can be done in the studio. And then on the overall admin side is totally okay with a view here, and then how to add new. And I can say that so far so good. Claude has helped me to get a first template to proceed with my work. Now the next thing I will do is just to plug my data. Now in the other hand, what I was supposed to do is to tell Claude that this is my data structure. I have the leaf type, I have the leaf table, I have whatever I have. Now based on that idea, Claude can leverage and then build my app for me. But in this case, I didn't give the database to Claude, and Claude just went and then create me the database on its own. But it's quite okay. Everything here is perfect for my UI, and I just proceed. And the other one I'll be doing is just to query some of the formulas. If there are some formulas I forgot, if there are some places I need to do better. And then this progress the development faster rather than we coding from scratch, bringing the control one by one. And I know creating the navigation alone take a lot of time. For those that are Canvas developers, they will know, and you have to rearrange them. At least it can take you at least an hour or so, to build this, and then make sure it works on those on the other pages. But within some 10 minutes, you have the full app template ready. The only thing you just need to plug your data. So I believe it's quite good. So with this idea, I also created other apps. So this is another app I built with it. This is totally responsive, or not, let's say quite responsive. So if I minimize it, I can still get it. And then this one too is also built on using Claude, totally right from scratch with the discussion. So let's see if you can navigate. Okay. So this one has a beautiful way, the way Claude creates, then navigation at the top here to when somebody is filling the form. These are ideas. Before I will get it, it will take me time. And I know that this is Canvas. If I have to build a UI that will have this navigation, will be too much. I will just go standard, have a one form that pick everything. But here, Claude gave me a nice view whereby somebody filled the form. The UX here is perfect. You fill the form, you proceed to next. Another form come, you proceed until you are done, then you just submit. So this particular idea at this place is quite impressive, and I've not given the idea to Claude. Claude just build it. And we have the approval side. That's a great idea to Claude brought here. You can select and then view the details, and then you have the approval detail. You have the request details here. You can reject, return, and or approve. And then you have the history. Let's see. Okay, so these are basically the history, and it has pagination, which is totally very good here that Claude just gave. So these are ideas that can be built in using Claude in Canvas. So if you have any question before I finish, so treat Claude like your first junior developer in your team, not the co-expert that you know. And then from there, you will realize that you and Claude will go a long way and build and work faster for clients. Thank you very much. Nikki.
Okay, so you just blew my socks off because I was just like, what? So you mean to tell me I've been making, well, I don't make as many apps now, but you mean to tell me I was making them the hard way? Um, but I'm sure this is going to be very exciting for my team. So I would love to hear if Sigu has any questions. But anybody else, do y'all have questions that you want to ask? Okay, well, I'm wondering, do you teach this? Like since you're MVP and you got your MCT, um, is this something that you teach?
Yeah. I actually I do most of the sessions like this. Last this weekend I was in Benin doing something like this over there, and then about 2 weeks ago I was in Togo as well, trying to talk about all those things because I know building Canvas is not easy. If you have to struggle dragging drop all this control and just using AI, why
Mm-hmm.
not? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm like an evangelist of this, like, guys, just use this, don't fail, just use it. And you could see the naming of all the control is quite easy. At first,
Mm-hmm.
I have a messy, I just drop all the control. I don't even have time to name them because imagine all these control, I have to name all of them. But Claude
Mm-hmm.
just make everything easy for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I always
Yeah.
encourage people to just continue using it.
Yeah, naming your controls are very important, especially if you're going to be using code. You want to have controls that have some kind of sense to their names, so it's easy for you to pick them up and stuff. That's something that I also learned when the precursor of Power Apps, InfoPath, which I loved InfoPath, but
Yeah, yeah.
you had to make sure you name those controls, or you can end up with a hot mess. Okay, so Michael, looks like you have question.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Tesco. Okay, I was asking, is it advisable to give Claude Code your access to your code base, like giving him Claude a role in your code base, let's say for deployment stuff? Is it advisable?
Mhm. Okay, thank you very much. So Claude is like a co-worker. So that is why it was made for. And if the company is pushing it, it's advisable. Because right now, Claude is also available in Copilots. So Copilot is just the face, but you either use Claude, you either use ChatGPT or whatever AI is there. So we use Claude in all those developments. without knowing if the company just put code behind Copilot. You never know. So totally advisable to use it. If you're using it on your own, that's where somebody will say that it's advisable to be on the paid version, because sometimes they will say that a free version expose some of the listen. There are some loopholes, or they have some policies that does not cover on that side. But the paid version, you are fully covered. You understand? So if you're on the paid version, then why not using it? Because that's where the co-work is available for, and it helps you faster. And they are improving it every day. And I believe the security that's where you are aware of will be in the long run. They'll work on it to accommodate all of us as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Welcome.
Okay, my Teams was just being really slow for a second. Okay. Any other questions? You did have a comment that said this was well explained and it made it look way too simple. So thank you so much. And then you got another one that says community accelerated hub co-hosting ideas and conversations reaching the masses. And then another one says life made easy, which I agree. It's like a whole lot easier. Um, because part of the struggle is the design, and then it's the code and the function. But part of the struggle is just getting this thing designed and getting all your screens and making it look good and all of that stuff. That's like almost half the battle. Okay, so I don't see any more questions or any more hands raised. So thank you, Chesko. We will go to the next speaker. Round of applause for that. I'm just going to put my applause in that because that was awesome. Okay, so we're going to move to the next speaker, and that is Wilfred, who is going to, whoa, there we go. There's Wilfred, who is going to talk to us about Microsoft Intune. Now, we have not had a security MSP type conversation yet. So this is going to be interesting for those of you that work for MSPs or the IT pro or your IT pro and you stay on the M365 administration side. This is definitely for you. So go ahead whenever you're ready, Wilfred.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for having me. And thank you to the community, Ananse community, for allowing me to share one or two ideas that I've gathered over the past few years since I started using M365 in 2023. No, 2022, actually, and from November 2022. So what I did was just because I was trying to avoid sitting through waiting for pages to load up. So I pre-recorded my section. So I'm going to play it. There's a lot more that I wanted to put in there, but I had a time and a limit of 30 minutes. So I have to apologize in advance that my section is actually 33 minutes long. And then I will play it, and then you can ask questions. And if there is any other thing that that is needed, any other demo, I can just record those and send it to Nikki, and then she can post it on the YouTube channel and share within in the community. Okay, so I'm just going to mute my mic, and I will share my screen. But first, let me share my screen.
Good afternoon and welcome to
this Monday event titled Intune AI Power.
I'm not sure what happened, but I could hear I could hear the sound at first, so you might want to stop sharing and then reshare with and make sure you include the sound when you go to
Yes,
reshare.
yes, I
Yeah.
did. I don't know why it went off. So I'll put it back on.
Me neither. Shouldn't be because you went on mute. It should still play.
We're in tech. And this event is organized by the Ananse Tech Community in Accra, Ghana. And my name is Wilfred Andrew Delame. And I have titled my section Microsoft Intune 101, Managing Devices the Modern M365 Way. I am one of the community organizers for the Microsoft User Group Ghana, as well as the creator and founder of the tech YouTube channel called Call Louis Academy YouTube channel. I have a couple of certifications, and for the purpose of this presentation, I've just listed a few of my certificates that relate to Microsoft. So since this section is related to Intune, or as Microsoft calls it, endpoint administration, if you are thinking on getting satisfied as a M365 administrator, the first exam that normally you should do is the AB 900, which is the new exam that replaces the Microsoft 365 Fundamental, which is the MS 900. So that exam has been replaced with Copilot and Agent Administration Fundamentals. So after writing the fundamental exam, the next exam is to become Endpoint Administrator. So this Endpoint Administrator is what this presentation is about. This one, the MD 102. And then after becoming satisfied as an endpoint administrator, the next step to go forward in this journey is to become M365 expert, which is the MS 102. So these are the exam code for the exam, show in case you are interested in becoming satisfied. As we begin, let's answer the question, what is Microsoft Intune? Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based software as a service and solution from Microsoft. It is a unified endpoint management services that is used to secure and manage organization devices. And these devices can range anywhere from laptops to smartphones. And when I say smartphone, I'm speaking of both iOS and Android, as well as tablets. And these tablets can also be Android or iOS and Linux and applications. What Intune does is it allows administrators to be able to enforce company IT security policy, configuration settings, and as well as deploy apps across Windows, iOS, Android, Linux, Mac operating system. And this can be done remotely and also allows you to do data protection. So these are just the basic of Microsoft Intune. There's more to Intune than these, but just to give you an idea what Intune is. With the proliferation of devices and the globalization and availability of internet, we notice that there is a growth or there is an evolution when it comes to IT support. In the past, you had to on-site manage and troubleshoot desktops and printers. You had to manage physical servers and storage and physical data centers. You had to manually install software. You had to also, of course, manage your on-prem Active Directory, and you had to be involved in reactive IT support. Now with internet, you can manage all of those things online. So with Microsoft 365, you can have Azure and M365, the whole package of Office, the Word, Excel, Access, all available through the cloud. Now we have Entra ID, which is responsible for identity and access management. So you can have that. Now we also have multi-factor authentication and zero trust security. We have endpoint management and automation, which is what this presentation is about. You can have hybrid work and even fully remote work. You have proactive monitoring and cybersecurity awareness. So you'll notice that things are evolving. As technology evolves, solutions are also put in place to be able to meet up with the evolution of these different technology. Here is a high-level architecture of the entire Microsoft endpoint ecosystem. So as complex as this diagram is, I will try to simplify it, and then we'll look at each part of this diagram to understand the entire architecture of Microsoft endpoint or Intune. The first place I'll bring your attention to is this piece of this diagram. Microsoft Endpoint Manager, or our Intune portal, is both a mobile application management and also a mobile device management. So Intune serves as both MAN or MDN. So mobile application management, so you can manage device apps, and these apps can be iOS or Apple apps, as well as you can manage apps for Android. And then also it allows you to manage devices. So you can manage Windows devices, Mac devices, Android devices, Linux, Apple, and iOS. So when it comes to apps, you can manage apps for all of these platforms. So you can manage Windows apps, Mac OS apps, Android apps, Linux apps, and iOS and Apple apps, and all of these different apps, right? So that's the main thing with Microsoft Intune. Then now with Microsoft Intune, you will have your Intune portal where you can log in. So that is here will be your web console. And then with this web console, once you log in, it gives you access to the entire Intune suite. And in this Intune suite, you have device configuration as one of the services. And then in the device configuration, you can have endpoint security and then device policies. So these are things that can be used to configure your devices. Then also you have data protection. So you have app protection and compliance policy, as well as device compliance policy. So all of those policies, they form part of helping you to protect your data. Then you also, through this Intune portal, you can also manage your apps. So when it comes to apps, you can have like the traditional .exe apps for Windows. You can have apps like for Android and Linux, and then and iOS as well. Then you can have policies for these apps, and then you can also have Windows and line of business apps, right? So these apps, and then so for managing for your apps and your protection of data and configuration of data, you also have what we call Entra ID. So think of Entra ID like your on-prem Active Directory. So what Microsoft Entra ID does, it helps with identity and access management. So users need to access these apps and use these devices. So these users will be created within your Microsoft Entra ID. And also Entra ID does conditional access. So conditional access is, for example, you can set up a condition as an endpoint administrator. You can say, okay, if all of our employees are based in Accra, Ghana, what we can do, we can set a condition that if anyone tries to log into our system, the Entra ID will verify and see if the person condition meets the location. So the location now will be Accra, Ghana. So if the person is logging from Accra, Ghana, then they will be able to log in. But even if the person works with the organization, but if the person doesn't meet that condition, if the person, let's say the person travel outside Accra, or let's expand it. Let's say we set a condition to Ghana, right? So let's say the person travel outside of Ghana, so that can be anywhere in Africa or anywhere in the world. Even though the person is an employee, if the person tries to log in because they don't meet that condition, they will be denied access, even though they have the correct username and password. So that's just one condition. You can have condition where the device had to be maybe up to date with the Windows, and there's certain condition that has to be met. If those conditions are not met, then deny an access or deny login. So Entra ID will handle all of that. Within Intune, we also have Windows Autopilot. You can set up a device and then ship it to your remote office. And then once a user puts the computer on and everything is ready to go, it has all the apps and every company policy and configuration and policy are all assigned to the device, and the device is ready to go. And then with Intune, it allows you to do analytics, right? And then it has Intune data warehouse and then logs analytics. Those are different things that Intune provides, right? But then Intune can also coordinate with your on-prem Active Directory. So if you have an on-prem Active Directory, let's say you have an on-prem Active Directory, there is something called Microsoft and Entra and ID sync. So it will create a synchronization for your organization so that users and groups that are in your on-prem Active Directory can be synchronized from on-prem to your cloud, right? And then with Intune as well, it allows you now to access other services, mainly with the use of your Entra ID, because Entra ID works with Intune, work with Azure, and work with everything Microsoft Cloud, because that's where all your users and group actually live in Entra ID, right? So because of that, users in your organization can also access Office apps, because with Microsoft Office, you can access Word, access through the web browser, or you can access them as a desktop app that is installed on the computer. And not just Microsoft apps, because Intune supports Android, you can also access the Google Play Store apps as well. And for security, Microsoft also has Microsoft Defender for endpoint, right? So that will provide security and antivirus services. Right here, to bring your attention to this part of the screen, what we will see is that Microsoft Intune or Endpoint Manager is not used to manage Windows Server operating system. That's used to manage clients. So Windows 10, Windows 11, and Mac OS on your MacBook. This is for providing support for end user as far as their devices is concerned, not to manage the server operating system. So that's about the high level architecture of Intune. Another thing is, before you can configure Microsoft Intune, because Microsoft has different licenses, now it is important that you are aware which license to have in order to be able to have Intune, because not all Microsoft license will give you access to Intune. That brings us to an end of the boring part of the presentation, that just running you through some slides. I felt that you needed to just have some knowledge of what Intune is and what are some of the benefits of Intune. So now the second part will be demo. So in this demo, what I've planned to do is to set up Intune. So we'll create a Intune subscription. Then what we will do is have an overview of the Intune portal. And then the next thing we'll do is to set up deployment profile. And from there, we will add or register devices into Intune. And then we will also, we'll create apps in Intune and then also deploy those apps to those devices. So it will be several and demos joined together. So, and then from there, after you watch the demo, then you can have time to ask me questions, and then that will bring us to an end of the presentation. Okay, so buckle up and we will go through this demo together. Welcome to Demo 1. So in Demo 1, we will create our subscription for Microsoft Intune, and we will be going for the Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So I will just come to the Business Premium and click on Try for Free, and then we'll open the page to set up the account. It tells me that this account is a trial account right here, and then I will be charged if I don't cancel by June 27. So you can sign up for it without paying, and you just put in all your information. So I'm going to pause the video, complete this form, and then I will log into my account, and I will walk you through an introductory part of the Intune portal. All right, so we have successfully set up our Microsoft 365 Business Premium account. Once this is done, now we are logged in. Take note of the URL. We are logged into admin.cloud.microsoft. So this is not the Intune portal, but this is your Microsoft 365 Admin Center, as you can see in the top left. If you want to go to the various admin centers, you can come down here and click Show All, and then scroll all the way down. If you want to go to the Security Admin Center, you can just click here. You want to go to Purview, you want to go to Intune, you can just click here. And identity is Entra ID. So what you would notice is that when you work with Microsoft Intune, there are 3 portals for the most part that you will be going between. At times, you will use the identity portal, Entra, which also can be accessed from within Intune. Then you'll use the Intune portal, and then you also use this Microsoft M365 portal. So if I want to go to Intune, you can just click on it, and then it's just going to open Intune in a new tab. The next thing I want to show you within the M365 portal is to go to Settings, and then you can come on Settings and go to Org Settings and click on that. And this allows you to set up your organization profile. So you can click Organization Profile here, and this allows you to put in the theme. So if you have a color theme for your organization, you can put in those information and put your organization information, and just go through this one by one and add all your company branding and all of those kind of information for your company. But then we'll just go over to our Intune portal, and within the Intune portal on your left, you have devices. So if I click on devices, it's going to show you the different platforms that Intune supports. So like I said in the presentation, Intune support Windows devices, Apple devices, Mac OS, Android, and Linux, right? So these are the different categories of devices that are here. So when you go to apps, it shows you the different platform that you can have the apps within Intune. And then it has the endpoint security, and then agent report for reporting. And then you have users, and you have group, and you have tenant administration. So if you want to administer your tenant, you'll come to tenant administration, and then will give you information about your tenant. When I click on users, it shows me the only user that we have, because this is the user that set up this tenant. So this user is the global admin. Now this interface that I see is actually Entra ID. As you can see at the top here, it tells you before it was formerly called Azure Active Directory, but now it's called Entra ID. So Entra ID is what is working in the background for creating identity, right? So users and group. So if I come back to my M365 and go to the identity and right click and say open a new tab, this is the Entra admin portal, which is entra.microsoft.com. It even shows you the name at Microsoft Entra Admin Center. So you will see similar information. It tells me the type of license I have, P1 license for Entra, because that business premium comes with a Entra P1 license, right? So if I click on user, you will see how very similar. You see, when you look at this interface, is the exact same interface here within Intune. So Entra ID is what does identity and access management for the entire Microsoft cloud. So whether Azure, whether Intune, whether M365, regardless of anything Microsoft Cloud, Entra ID is where the users and groups are created, and identity and access management. That's just a quick overview of Intune. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a user. So to create a user, I can do bulk operation and then say bulk create. So what it does, it allows you to download a CSV file. So let's suppose that you have 25 users to create at once. So you download the CSV file and fill up the CSV file, and you just come and import the CSV file into Intune, and then we'll have all the users automatically created. If I just want to create a single user, I can just click on this arrow, and then I have two options to create a new user, that is someone who works within our organization, or to invite an external user, someone who works with a different organization. Probably you need to invite the person so that you can collaborate on a project. So in this case, we're going to say create new user, and it's just going to bring up this screen, and we're just going to fill in the user principal name. So I'm just going to put in the user principal name. So you can either use a auto-generated password and then copy the password and send it to the person, or you can put in a standard password. So I'm just going to click copy to copy this password, and then you can go to next, which will go to the properties, or you can click on properties here to fill all this information for the employee. And then you can go to assignment to assign the person to a group. And then, but in our case, after the basic, we'll just click review and create, and then we click create, and it's just going to create that user. And then once that user is created, you can just hit the refresh button, and then it shows the user. So if I click on this user, it gives me an overview of this user, and then it tells me information about this user. So you see 0 license added to this user, 0 role, 0 application. This user is not part of any group. You can go to properties to see further details about the user, and then you can see sign in log to see all the devices the user have logged into, and a history of it. And then groups, you can click on group to see which group the user is part of, and application, which apps have been assigned to the user, license, which licenses have been assigned to the user, devices, which devices have been assigned to this user. Okay, so when I click on licenses, it shows we haven't assigned a license. So just because we created the user, it doesn't automatically give the user a license unless we assign the user a license. So just when I click on licenses, it tells you right here, adding or removing or processing license can only be done in the M365 admin center. So it tells you that if you need to assign a license to this user, you need to go to the M365 portal. So then we'll come to the M365 portal, and then when we go up to active user, we will see the new user, because Entra, like I said, Entra ID is working in the background. So when you create the user here in Intune, the user is synced across. So if I go into Azure right now, I will still see these two users that I have within my organization. Okay, so I will come to the M365. So when I come to this user, I can click on this user, and then it gives me the user information. And then you can come right here to licenses and apps. And then I can just click here, because this is the only license I have, right, in my organization. So I can add this person and then click save. And then now this user has been assigned a license, and it tells you also down here the apps. So I can select all, so they will have access to all these apps, or I can just add, I can check the apps that they need and uncheck the ones that they don't need and click Save Changes, and those will be the apps that the user will have access to. So if I create a user, if I don't assign license to the user will not be able to log in. You have to assign license to the user first. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. So when I close this and I come back to Intune, and when I refresh the screen right here, now it tells me that this user has a license, the business premium license. So another thing I would like to show you is I will click on groups, and then we'll click on all groups. And then so far we have 2 groups here. So again, you can create a group. So I'll click on new group. When it comes to the group type, you can have a security group or you can have an M365 group, and then it will tell you, if you just click on this little I or hover over it, it tells you that a security group is used to give group member access to application resources and assign license. So, and the membership of a security group can be users, devices, service principal, and other groups. But the M365 group is mainly for collaboration and giving members access to shared mailbox and calendars and files and SharePoint site. And for M365, the membership can only be user. So most of I would say 90% of the groups you will create will be security group. So we'll keep it to security group. So let's say this group is for the IT computer. So we can say IT computers. And then when it comes to the membership type, you can have assign and you can have dynamic user and dynamic device. So assign means that this is a static group. You will have to manually add and computers to it, since it is a computer group or device group, because a computer is a device. So since this is the IT computer group, you can, if you say assign, we will have to manually add computers to this group. But in this case, we want to take dynamic group, dynamic device group. So I put DDG. So I'll know that this group is a dynamic device group. Then when you come down, you have to, if you choose dynamic group, you have to add a query. A query is simply a rule that you are adding to the group, that if these conditions are met, then add devices to this group. I'm going to go to the properties here. I'm going to go to device OS version, and then I will say if it starts with, so you have different values here. So I will say if it starts with, so it starts with, and then the value for Windows 11, you must as well just use Windows 11 because Microsoft is getting rid of Windows 10. So the value for Windows 11 is 10.0.2. This is something that you can search on Google and will tell you from the Microsoft website. And sometimes the Microsoft and OS version will be 10.0.22, but you just want to say 10. Once it starts with 10.0.2, you know that is Windows 11. Okay, so once I add this rule, then the next thing I will click and say validate rule, and then after that I will just click on save. Okay, and then for the group you can put the description. It's good to put description for your group, but I'm just completing the places I have places with the rare asterisks, because those are the ones that are compulsory. And because we chose dynamic group, that's why we had to add a dynamic device membership rule. If we took assign, which is a static group, it wouldn't have this option wouldn't be compulsory. So I'll click create group. It's going to create this group. So we refresh to show the group. So this is our dynamic group. So right now there's nothing in this group, but when we add a Windows 11 computer to our tenant, what you will notice is that computer will automatically add to this group. The next thing I want to show you is how do we add apps. So we click on apps, and then let's say we want to add a Windows app. So we'll click on Windows, and then you click on create, and then you can choose the app type. Okay, so I want to add, let's say, Microsoft Office, because everyone uses Microsoft Office, right? So I'll say M365 apps, and I'll come to Microsoft 365 apps for Windows 10 and later, right? Because Windows 11 is later. So I'll click that, and I'll click on select. So once we come to this place, everything has been added for us. So we can just remove all this thing and just keep it to Microsoft 365 apps. And then you can put in a description, and then all the other information, the logo, everything is there. Then we'll go to next. And then if you want to add the entire suite, you can keep everything checked. If they don't use publisher in your organization, you can just uncheck the ones that you don't want. And then we can come here, and then for default file format, we're going to click on Office Open Document Format. And then for update channel, we'll just say the current channel. So now if you have previous version, it will try to remove it, remove other version. For us, this is new. So we just say yes or no to this is what it does. And then maybe you want to install the latest version of Office. So or if we want to specify a version that we want, we can say specify which version of Office. So we'll keep it to the latest. And then these other ones, if you use share computer activation, it tells you what it is. So, and then the license, accept the agreement, yes, install service in the background, and being service in the background, language, you can see that the language you want. So I'll just come down to English, US, and click OK. And then once I go next, okay, now when it comes to assignment, what I want you to notice, the two assignment, require and available. Okay, so require means that once the user logs in, the app will be installed in the background. As the user is logging in, the apps will be installed, and once the user logs in, the apps are already there. So you will use require if everybody must have the app. So something like Office, everyone needs to have Office, everyone needs to have antivirus. So those ones should be required. So maybe let's say in your Windows, it will come with Microsoft Edge. So, but let's say some staff in the organization prefer using Google Chrome, but Google Chrome is not required. It's something that is optional. So in that case, if this is Google Chrome app that we are adding, you will make it available. So when you make it available, what happens is that on the person's computer, they will go to company portal, and they will see that app, and then they will click on it and click install, and will just install. So, and then the third area is to uninstall, and then you can add it to uninstall the app. So for us, we want to install it, and every user needs to have it. So we'll say add for all users, right? And it should be required. So we'll go to next, and then give us a summary of everything, and then we'll just say create, and then you're going to add this app. Yeah, so that was where I stopped. I couldn't add additional, like add device and all of those things. Okay, just to give you a brief idea of what Intune is. So do you have any question for me? You can ask.
But for me, I would like to know, I usually make the users in the M365 Admin Center. I mean, I get why doing the device and all of that stuff, why the second part of it, that made sense. But is there any advantages to making users in the in Intune as opposed to in the M365 Admin Center?
When you creating the user,
Yeah, like when you were in the demo creating the user first, and you were doing that through the Intune.
it,
I was wondering, is there an advantage to doing it that way as opposed to using the M365 Admin Center?
right? That's a great question. I would. It was just because of the demo, but if I'm creating a user, I would just create the user in the M365 and center instead of Intune. And the reason is just because we're within the M365, once I create the user, I'm right there. I can just assign license to the user, right? But then sometimes again in organizations, you can create a group and you have users, let's say all the IT users in a group. So once a new user is created, that user is dynamically added to that group. And then you can apply a license to the group. So anyone that is in that group and and gets that license. So the fact that that's where you can assign a license, it just make the process shorter. So I would rather create it in the M365 center than creating it in the Intune because I will have to go back to M365 and assign license. But then also it depends, right? Because let's say you set up a dynamic group and rule that says that if the user department is IT department, add them to the IT group because you have already assigned a license to that group. So creating it in the Intune portal will still automatically add the user to that group because you fill that area. And then once the user is added, the license to is also applied. So it really depends.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like there's certain things that you can do in the SharePoint modern view now, but I still tend to go to the list or library settings because I'm usually doing multiple things, and that way I'm able to do all that stuff in that one place. Okay,
Right.
yep, makes sense. Cool. Anybody else have any other questions?
I don't have any questions. I think that was pretty informative. That was, like I said, I usually go to the admin center, but now I see the use of Intune to be able to actually use it, to be able to add users, look at that, who's got what apps in there, and things that like be able to see the whole system all on one page. So that was very informative. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Yeah, yeah, and then sometimes too even with like at work, that sometimes when I delete, let's say a web or device, you have to sometimes delete it because sometimes there is a slight delay in terms of read and syncing the device. So I found myself deleting the device, the web and delete the device or into, then I have to go to Entra and then also delete the device from there because Entra assigns its own Entra ID and number to the device, which is also different from the Intune ID of the device. So sometimes if you don't delete it from both places, if you just delete it from Intune and when you go and reset up that device, it can have, and sometimes it doesn't get the configuration just because it's thinking that two devices, but they are the same device. Yeah, so all the Microsoft headache. But there's a lot of things to Intune. I really look forward to like and contributing to the community, making videos and sending it to the team there to share it on your YouTube channel. Just because there are a lot of things that we can do with Intune that I couldn't cover all of them. I feel bad about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, if you're available, during, some of the next, I think our next slots, I think we have open is September. I think, um, I think we got August full and July full. So I think our next slot is September. I might be wrong, but anyway, um, I would encourage you to resubmit as well, to be a speaker again, and then do like a part two. That way
Right.
people can ask questions.
Okay. Okay, yeah, then I
One more
can do
question.
some. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you do permission structure in there, do permissions and things in Intune as well?
Can you say that again? Sorry, I didn't.
Okay, in Intune, are you able to give access and permissions in there as well?
Give access to do access information?
At like permission structure, being able to give different permissions to
You mean
different
for like
apps.
SharePoint, right?
Oh, the
Or for
different.
different apps?
Yeah,
Okay.
permissions for apps and things like that.
I do it from admin center.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, or sometimes I do it from either admin center or from Antra. Like if I want to do something like even conditional access, I can do it from there in admin center or Antra.
Okay.
So in Tunes, I would just use it resetting the device, the user password, or let's say the user has a multi-factor authentication set up on the device, on their phone, and now they have changed the phone, and they no more have access to the old phone. So within Intune, there I can just revoke that previous access and then set it up and add a new device for the new device, or add a telephone number. And then you can also do temporary access pass, and then which allows you to, like if let's say a user is coming into work on Monday, and I'm setting up their device on Friday. So what I would do is I will generate a temporary access pass. We give you a temporary password for that user, and then I can use that temporary password without knowing the user actual password, but use a temporary password and log into the computer as the user, and then like install all the Windows update and make sure everything is up to date, so that when the user comes in on Monday, once they log in, everything is up to date in terms of Windows and drivers and all of those things. So those things you can just easily do them from in the Intune portal.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I will do a part two. The part two will go more into device and deployment, and registering the device into Intune, whether it's company-owned device or bring your own device, and then using autopilot to deploy the devices, and I actually do a demo showing how the apps are downloaded, and also showing how apps that were made available, how the user can log in and install it through company portal. So the part two will cover all of those.
Cool. All right, so you got a couple of comments. Dynamic group filtering dynamic group filtering, any compliant devices would work, including versioning within enterprise catalog apps. Alternatively, license can be inherited from nested groups, as you were talking about, to avoid license overlapping.
Yeah.
Says E365, I guess, conquers all.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
license type E5.
or E5,
Yeah.
yeah, not 365, E5. And then cleanup rules can save you from misery because Entra ID data synchronizes with AD, and it sometimes has replication issues.
That's
Yeah. um, and then another one, may you cover the AI agent policy agents that simplify the policy creation from native language. So I'm guessing that's a request
okay.
for you.
Okay. Noted.
All right. And then if in one of our next sessions, if we don't have
Nikia,
all of
am I
our
audible?
oh yes, you are. Yes.
Am I audible? Oh, okay. So I was worried that maybe my voice might not be audible, but I would like to say that that was the great session. I enjoyed, especially on the Intune one. So I can share maybe a little bit of how I actually ventured into Intune. So there are these guys on YouTube that I used to watch a lot. I think it's about two or three guys. So those guys, they actually took me from from a junior engine user to a pro user. And one thing that I liked about what you presented, Wilfred, it shows like, and I have to applaud you that you're thinking like a security engineer. Maybe many might not understand why did you actually pre-record it and filter your name there on the top right, because you're obviously holding certain standards of a certain tenant. So I understood that from the beginning when I saw it, but I just wanted to have like that conversation. So it was burning. It was a burning sensation with me. But what I can say is I've also have seen couple of. I mean, since I've been working with the Intune, perhaps maybe we can collaborate. But then collaboration more into maybe sharing what I know about Intune and many of Microsoft services, especially around the system engineering, security engineering. So any ecosystem of Microsoft, like security, Microsoft Defender for endpoint, cloud security, anything Microsoft basically that is security based, and GPOs and modern native cloud management. So yeah, this is quite exciting. I actually got this invite from the who's this? This is Meshes or something. I call him leadership sometimes, but I don't see it here. I don't see him here at all. But yeah, so this was great. I enjoyed it. So if you are looking into maybe having this conversations, Wilfred, I'm
I am.
available, and
I am.
yeah, so yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I just got through at my workplace.
Yeah, I just
Our
got through
our
at
intern
my workplace.
administrator left.
Our intern
I don't know.
administrator left.
Sorry, I keep hearing myself.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
so
keep
our
hearing
intern
myself.
administrator left in
Yeah.
So our
2022.
interim administrator left in 2022.
One second.
Yeah.
I
sorry
think
about
you
that.
have to mute. It seems like
I'm
when
sorry
you're
about that.
hey,
It
when
seems
you're
like
on
when you're
and you
when
have your
you're
mic
on,
open, it for some reason it's
and you have your mic open,
echoing.
for some reason it's echoing. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Are you audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So-
echoing in your mic. Okay.
Yeah, it's echoing in your mic. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. I will just leave and come back.
I think you're good. He just muted. Okay. Well, okay. So he's going to leave and come back, but we have about 10 minutes left, and we're probably going to be a little bit over. So Sigil can give his talk about how he entered his tech career, because it is, yeah, I'm sure it's an interesting journey. We only been on part of it with him, but we, came from the start of this. So, Wilfred, I know you just left and came back. It was his mic that was causing the echoing. But as soon as he stopped, then as soon as he muted, then the echoing stopped. So please put so Kay, if you want to connect with Wilfred, I mean that's his full name that you see right there. You can find him on LinkedIn. and then reach out to him there, or reach to us and we will reach out to him. And apologies, but we got to move to the next. Oh, and it looks like he's left. Okay, so thank you, Wilfred. That was an, very informative, very helpful talk. We are looking forward to the next one. And let's go ahead and move on so we can make sure that Sigil is able to tell everybody about how his tech career his career has gone, his journey, lessons learned, and possibly some practical tips and such.
Okay, let me quickly share my screen. Hopefully I'll be able to go through it before in the next 10 minutes, which I doubt. Can you see my screen?
It is coming.
Okay.
Oh, now I see it. And by the way, if you do go over, don't worry about it. Take your time because we will just have it in the recording. So for folks, if they have to drop off, they can catch the end of it in the recording.
All right, sure. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Segui Sando, co-founder of this community, Ananse Tech Community, co-CEO of CISA Technology Limited and CTO for NTC Tech Consultancy. Both CISA and NTC Tech are Microsoft partners and technology solution providers. We help organizations work smarter and faster by fixing slow manual processes, modernizing old systems, and making sure all your tools talk to each other, and also keeping your information safe. So you can focus on your customers and your growth. So in this session, I will share my, I would say, unconventional path into the tech industry. So this is not a perfect career story. It is not a story about someone who had everything figured out from the beginning. It wasn't a straight line journey. In fact, if someone had told me years ago that one day I would be here speaking about technology careers, leading digital transformation projects, working deeply in the Microsoft system, and helping organizations use technology better, I honestly wouldn't have believed you. I didn't study computer science. I didn't go to university thinking I was going to work in technology. I studied banking and finance. My early career was in sales, administration, and finance-related roles. At different points, I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do and where I fit in. But at the same time, I was always, I would say I was always curious. I was always interested in technology. I kept learning little by little, teaching myself new things, getting involved in volunteer opportunities, and putting myself in environments where I could learn and grow. And looking back now, I would say my journey into tech wasn't built on having a perfect plan. It was built on, like I said, curiosity, exposure, consistency, and most importantly, relationships. The people I met, the opportunities I said yes to, and the mentors who guided me along the way all played a part in getting to where I am today. So today I want to share the journey, the good decisions, the mistakes, the lessons, and the turning points, and hopefully give you some practical things you can take away for your own career journey, whether you're a student, a career switcher, or someone just trying to find their place in tech. So my exposure to computers started at a very early stage in my life. I think around 2004 or maybe even earlier. I can't remember the exact year, but let's just say somewhere around that period. I was privileged enough to have access to a Pentium 2 laptop at home, which my siblings and I shared. At that time, that wasn't very common, especially around our part of the world. So at home, there was a timetable for using the laptop. We had separate time for the girls and separate time for the boys because aside my siblings, we had 2 or 3 cousins living with us. And before you could even touch the computer, especially on weekends, you had to prove that you had read a book, a storybook first before we could actually use it. So we used it for a while, and my dad later upgraded us from Pentium 2 laptop to I think it was Pentium M laptop, and later to a desktop computer, which I think was Pentium 4. And that desktop really suffered in my hands. I don't think we ever took it for repairs. So anytime something went wrong, we would open it ourselves and start trying to figure out what was wrong. Sometimes we fixed the problem, and once in a while we created new problems, but we were learning anyway. And so I became comfortable around technology very early, and I think that's something we underestimate. When you spend time taking things apart, breaking things, trying to fix it, experimenting, and trying to understand how things work, you stop being afraid of them. I started seeing computers as normal tools, not something that's intimidating. And I didn't realize at the time how valuable that experience or exposure was. But looking back, that curiosity, the willingness to experiment, and that confidence to touch things without being afraid of breaking them created a foundation that I think later helped me to learn and grow in tech. So now my first time, my first real exposure to programming came around I think 2008. So my uncle in the US bought us a programming book. At the time, my older brother was the one who became interested in it. For me, not so much. My focus was on music. Around that same time, too, my brother had installed Fruity Loops on the desktop, so my concentration was on that. Anyway, Fruity Loops is for making beats. So I was teaching myself how to make beats and spending most of my time around that. Programming wasn't really on my radar. So I have a story to tell, but before I tell you that story, let me add a little disclaimer. Please don't use this story as a career advice, and please don't leave here saying I endorse cybercrime. I don't support what happened. It wasn't ethical, and phishing isn't good. So with that disclaimer out of the way, back then our internet connection came through telephone lines and a modem, I think a dial-up modem. And before we could access the internet, you can always connect to the internet, but the way it was set up, before you could actually browse, there was an authentication step, and my dad had to sign in with his credentials before we could browse. But the problem was that every time we wanted to browse, we had to call him, and he had to be home to do it. And at the same time, he had to be willing to give us access, which wasn't guaranteed. So one day, my older brother, who had been learning programming from that book, we created the login screen locally on the computer, and it looked exactly like the original screen. You couldn't tell the difference because my dad couldn't tell the difference. So so we called my dad. He came, entered his username and password as usual, and everything appeared normal. But it wasn't the original one, it wasn't what he thought it was. The credentials had been captured and stored locally. So from that day, we never went to him, and I'm still surprised he never noticed. Anyway, that's by the way. Don't practice this in the real world. But that was probably one of the first moments I realized technology wasn't magic. Someone actually built those systems, and people could learn how they worked. You don't have to be a superhuman to also build some of the of these things we see as mind blowing. Around the same time, the primary school I attended also had an ICT lab. Now that might sound not um, that might not sound like a big deal today, but if you think about Ghana around 2004 or 2005, especially outside some of the major cities, I wasn't in Accra then, I was in Obuasi. That was not very common, and I don't think it was even common in Accra then. And it was a fully furnished ICT lab where each student had their own computer. Anytime you go to the lab, so it's not like you are sharing it with someone. So while we're still in primary school, we're already learning basic computer skills. I remember learning how to type using Mavis Beacon and using applications like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Paint. The At the time, honestly, I didn't think much of it. It just felt normal. It was only years later that I realized how much of an advantage that exposure gave me. And quite unfortunately, it is still a challenge in Ghana today. There are still many talented young people who don't have access to computers. They don't have access to internet, training, or opportunities that can help them discover their potential in tech. That's one of the reasons why mentorship, technology education, and communities like this, the Ananse Tech community, matter so much. So sometimes people need just the exposure. They need to see what is possible. They just need someone to show them the path, just show them the right way. And it's also one of the things we are passionate about and actively working on at CISA It's one of our corporate social responsibilities. And looking back at my own journey, I can say that those early experiences with technology at home and at school played a bigger role in my career than I could have ever imagined at the time. So after all that early exposure to tech, I didn't study computer science or IT in the university. I studied business administration, banking and finance. And I know that might surprise some people, especially when they hear what I do today. Even in the university, it never crossed my mind going into tech. I think it was in my final year that a very good friend of mine was learning how to build websites. So she sent me her learning materials, and the only thing I did was hello world on just a plain page. I didn't even do anything else to it, and I stopped there. I wasn't really interested. My goal was just to finish my degree and work in the banking or financial sector. And one of the reasons I wanted to share this part of my story is because I know there are people here today who may be studying something completely different from tech. Maybe you are studying accounting, marketing, economics, engineering, education, or something else entirely. And sometimes people assume that because they didn't study computer science, they've missed their opportunity or correct path to work in tech. I would say that's not true. one thing I've learned is that careers I would say careers are really as like straight line, as linear as we think they are. Sometimes the skills you learn in one field become useful in another field later on. For example, even though I studied banking and finance, some of the things I learned still help me today. How to how businesses operate, how to analyze information, how to communicate professionally. I learned how to think about processes, efficiency, decision making. And when I eventually moved into technology, I realized that technology is not about, it's not just about computers, coding. Technology is about solving business problems. It's about helping people work better, improving processes, creating value for people. And to do that well, to do that effectively, you need more than technical skills. You need communication skills, problem solving skills. You need business understanding. You need the ability to work with people. One of the biggest misconceptions about tech is that everyone in tech spends their whole time or day writing code. I think recently I saw it on Twitter, which is now X. Someone posted that big tech companies are not going to hire you if you don't do computer science as a degree in the university. That's I think that's a bit misleading. They do not require a computer science degree as a hard rule, although in certain roles that would be a requirement, but it's mainly what you can actually do. The industry needs all kinds of people. They don't need just developers. They don't only need people who can code, but they need analysts, consultants, project managers. They need trainers, designers. They need community leaders, sales professionals, and a lot other career backgrounds. So don't disqualify yourself from technology simply because your degree is not in computer science. Your current background may be different, but it doesn't really mean it cannot become part of your journey. And speaking of experiences that seemed unrelated at the time, after university, I didn't immediately enter the tech industry. In fact, my first few jobs were nowhere near what most people would consider a typical tech career. So with my job experiences before fully transitioning into tech, I worked in sales and administrative roles, which was definitely not in any way connected to tech. But this, like I said, these roles taught me valuable skills like communication and being able to relate with customers and clients, which are essential in tech environments. Now, around this period, I had started becoming more intentional about learning technology. So I started exploring things on my own. I did a little bit of HTML, CSS, learning how to build websites, just trying things out and understanding how things worked. And I later moved to learning data analytics. And this was around the COVID time, around 2020, 2021. So outside my normal work hours, I dedicated some time to study through online courses. And luckily enough, Ghana Library had a scholarship ongoing. I think it was Ghana Library in collaboration with Commonwealth Center of Learning. I don't know if it's still active, but it gives you access to some tech courses online for free on Coursera. I think it was Coursera and Udemy. And after you get your certificate at no cost. So I remember taking the Google Data Analytics course, did some Python course and Excel for data analysis. So that helped me build a solid foundation. So my journey, I would say my journey wasn't as smooth as I'm making it look or sound. It was messy. There were periods where I wasn't sure what direction I was heading. I didn't know where to start from. So there were times I was learning one thing and working in something completely different. Sometimes you feel you are not making progress and you would even want to give up. You get home tired, you don't even have the strength to continue, but it's all about the end goal. What I've come to realize is that even when I was learning how to make beats and learning how to DJ, you get to some point and you feel like you're not doing anything. You feel you are stuck at one point. You don't see any progress, but progress often happens when you can't see it. Because when you compare where you started from to where you are currently, you realize that there's actually an improvement. So every role was teaching me something. Every course that I took was teaching me something. You just have to manage your time well and know when to what to spend most of your time on. For me, that messy beginning taught me some resilience, that how do you call it, adaptability and continuous learning. And honestly, there are still some of the most important skills I use today. While I was learning these skills and trying to figure out my path, another important opportunity came along that had a significant impact on my journey. I think one of the programs I had the opportunity to be involved in was the National ICT Development Agenda, which was focused on introducing technology, coding. I think it was technology, coding, robotics, and STEAM education into schools. STEAM or STEM education into schools, especially at the basic school level. So as part of the initiative, we worked on distributing tablets, robotics kits, and educational resources to some government schools. We weren't just giving schools technology, we were also helping train teachers so they could teach and support their students. So for me, this experience was, I would say, eye-opening. It allowed me to see technology from a whole different perspective. Before then, I was mostly focused on learning technology for myself, but now I was seeing how technology could be used to create opportunity for others. I was seeing young students get excited about technology. I was seeing teachers learning new skills. And interestingly, I was learning a lot myself in the process. One thing have discovered is that teaching is one of the fastest ways to learn. When you have to explain something to someone else, you realize what you understand well and what you still need to improve on. So while we're helping others learn, I was also growing personally and professionally. So while I was volunteering, learning new skills and trying to figure out my path, another important chapter of my journey was unfolding. At the time, I was working in sales and administrative roles, teaching myself technology skills on the side and still trying to figure out where my career was heading. It was around that period that I met Nikki and David, and that eventually became one of the major turning points in my career. That was their first time in Ghana. They were trying to explore, and learning about what they were trying to build and the kind of impact they wanted to create around technology and digital transformation in Ghana. That really connected with me because by then I had already started developing an interest in technology, but I was still trying to figure out how to fully step into it in a meaningful way. They thought about technology differently. It was about people, about change, and about using technology to solve real problems. So being around them, I think it created a different level of clarity for me. I helped. It's actually helped me see that this wasn't just something I was learning on the side anymore. It was something I could actually build a career around. And from there, things started to shift. I began to move from just learning and exploring into actually working in technology full time. I started getting more involved in real projects, more responsibilities, and more exposure to how technology is used in organizations. And I would say that that transition that transition wasn't definitely it was definitely not overnight. It was gradual. It took time to fully step away from what I was doing I before committing fully to the tech space. So after that transition, things didn't suddenly became easy or perfectly clear. It was more like I was finally um, stepping properly into the world of tech, but still learning on the job, still figuring things out, and still growing as I went along. And Nikki and David was really a good help. They took their time to take me through all the necessary training, mentoring, all the things that I would need to help. I would need to help me along the way. So as time went on, I started building my career around Microsoft technologies, especially working with tools like Microsoft 365, SharePoint, and the Power Platform. And a big part of my work was also focused on helping organizations improve how they work. Things like collaboration, automation, process improvement, and basically making work simpler using technology. And like I said earlier, one thing I quickly realized is that technology in the real world is not just about tools. It's about solving problems, helping people work better. It's about making businesses more efficient and more effective. As I grew in this space, I also started getting more involved in things beyond just technical work. I began speaking more, sharing knowledge, writing about what I was learning, and engaging with communities like this one. And I've come to realize that these things actually accelerates your growth more than you expect. Sorry, because when you start teaching, when you start teaching, you start understanding better. When you start sharing your journey, you start learning from others, and when you get involved in community, you start seeing opportunities you wouldn't normally see on your own. So my career in tech has not just been about building technical skills. It has also been about building communication skills, leadership skills, and the ability to work with people. And I think that combination is what has shaped the journey so far. So if I step back from the whole journey and try to summarize what I've really learned, there are a few key lessons that stand out for me. Some of these I understood early, others I had to learn the hard way. So the first one will be that you don't need a perfect background to get into tech. You actually don't need a perfect start to succeed. Like I said, I didn't study computer science. I did start in a tech role, and I've met many people with similar stories. What matters is your willingness to learn and adapt. I didn't know all the things I know today when I started, and there are still a lot of things I still don't know. I still see myself as being in a learning phase. At every stage, there is something new you would face. There are a lot of things you just need the fundamentals and the willingness to learn. I know many people are waiting to feel fully prepared before they start. I don't think there's a point where you suddenly arrive and stop learning. In tech especially, things keep changing and you don't just keep adapting and going with it. I actually remember when Nikki asked me if I would be open to sharing my career journey. My first reaction was almost to say no, because in my mind I was thinking I'm not ready yet. But you always don't have to be ready. You're always not ready. Even when you think you are ready, you're not ready. So spend less time waiting to feel ready. If you keep waiting to be ready, you might never actually move forward or take action. And honestly, even me being here today is part of the same journey for me. So the next would be curiosity. A lot of the progress I made didn't come from having all the answers. It came from asking questions, trying things, breaking things, and figuring things out step by step. You need to conquer the fear of asking basic questions immediately. And I mean the questions that feel too simple or even a bit embarrassing to ask. We all started from somewhere. We didn't know everything right from the beginning, so it is much better to ask what you might think it's basic or dumb questions early than to sit with confusion for months. One thing I've noticed is we don't like asking questions. Maybe it could be how we were brought up. I don't know, but that's what I think. That's what one thing I've noticed about Ghanaians. Another important lesson is consistency. There were times I wasn't fully motivated. I wasn't even sure if I was on the right path, but I kept learning even in small ways, and over time, those small efforts compounded. And I also learned the importance of relationships and community. A lot of opportunities don't come from applications or job boards. In Ghana, we call it who you know. They come from people, conversations, communities, being present in the right spaces. And I don't mean this in a should I say transactional way. I mean genuinely learning from people, contributing where you can, and staying connected. So start networking early and be intentional about the way you connect. Another lesson will be that your first role in tech may not look like what you expect. You may start in support, administration, analysis training, or even something that doesn't even look technical at all, but those roles can still be a stepping stone. What matters is how you grow from where you are. So before I wrap up, I want to leave you with a few practical pieces of advice that have genuinely helped me throughout my journey. So the first is this, like I've been saying, you don't need computer science degree to get into tech. Now, I'm not saying degrees are not valuable or computer science or IT degree is not valuable. They are. They are. What I'm saying is don't disqualify yourself simply because your educational background is different. as you've heard from my story, I studied banking and finance. So the tech industry needs people from diverse backgrounds. So don't spend time focusing on what you can do. Focus on learning the skills that can help you do it. The second would be to stay curious, because curiosity, looking back, curiosity has probably been one of the biggest drivers of my growth. Whether I was opening computers to see how they worked, experimenting with technology, teaching myself new skills. You don't have to know everything. You just have to keep asking questions and keep learning. The third will be, this is very important, community actually accelerates growth. One of the reasons I'm standing here today is because of the people I've met along the way. Communities expose you to knowledge. So you're able to learn faster when you learn with others than when you try to do everything alone. The fourth one will be is to master your soft skills. So there's something many people underestimate, your communication skills, listening, presenting, writing, working with people, building relationships. You can be technically brilliant, but if you can't communicate your ideas, work with people, or understand business problems, your growth will be limited. And finally, document your journey. So you don't need to be an expert before you start documenting your journey. Shift from the learning phase to the showing phase sooner. If there's anything small that you've built, just launch simple, imperfect projects early rather than waiting for a polished final state. It's also a way of documenting your progress, building your portfolio, and also showing the world what you are capable of. You never know who's watching. And in fact, some of the most valuable things you can share are the things you are learning right now. So over time, documenting it creates visibility and also builds credibility and helps other people to also learn, to also not go through the mistakes you went through. So if I can leave you with one final thought, it would be that you don't need a perfect background, you don't need a perfect roadmap, you don't need to have everything figured out. You just have to stay curious, keep learning, develop your communication skills, and keep showing your work. You might be surprised where that journey takes you. And that's all for me. Thank you. I know I
So I'm
spent a
going,
lot of time going through
yeah,
this.
but
Yeah.
it was good. You told stuff that, and where did that picture come from? I don't even remember that picture. You told stuff that we didn't even realize was part of your journey, because we just
Yeah.
kind of came in and just kind of started going. But yeah, awesome. I see you have your hand up, Harry. So go ahead.
Okay, so based on your journey and what you saw yourself go at, that you went through to get to the point where you are at now, what advice would you give to those folks who are not into tech, but they're noticing that the field that they're in are using technology to help increase what they're doing in the fields that they are in? They're not looking to get into tech, but tech is coming to them. What advice would you give them about technology in the field that they are in?
So what I would say is you can't escape technology. You can't run away from technology. Even if you don't want to be in tech, whatever you are doing, whatever you are work you are doing, you are still using the technology. You don't have to necessarily be the one building those stuff, but as an end user, you have to embrace yourself for tech, because if you are not prepared for it, someone else who is in your position, who has the same qualification as yours, who can do what you can do, will take your job because you lack something that the whole world is moving to. So you don't have a choice. It's either you learn it or you are left behind. So you just have to embrace it. It's same as how should I say I've forgotten the example that I wanted to give. But anyway, yeah. Businesses are moving from paper form to digitization. You need to know you need to know your basic computer skills. You need to know how to use, how to type, how to collaborate with others online. Just these simple basic computer skills, how to use whatever app that is being used in your line of work. So you don't have a choice. You just have to upskill yourself. Yep. So that's
Yeah, and
what I
like
would say.
Sigel was saying, you don't have to learn all the tech. You learn the tech that
Yep.
is actually appropriate for your line of work. And there's tech for all types of lines of work. Um, so learning that, even if you don't want to be in tech, learning how the tech and tools work in your line of work is where you want to go. But you don't have to learn all the tech. Just learn the
Yep.
tech that's specific to your line.
Hey, thank you for that. That's all the questions I have.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Even
so
though,
much.
one more question, where the heck did you get that picture from?
Oh, which one?
The image that you had with me and Nikki, and I don't even remember
Oh,
that.
yeah. We took it when we went to how do you call it? What was it? MTN, I think MTN. Yeah.
Dang. Any other questions, folks, before we close? Or you can always find Sigil with us. So if you have any questions that you figure, oh, okay. Okay, I see a hand up. Go, you can go ahead.
Yes, Segu.
Yep.
That has been one inspiring journey. It's a big transformation you have made from what you learned to where you are. Now you're having a Microsoft partner. Very interesting.
Thank
So
you.
what happened to the career that you really wanted? I heard you wanted to do music, right?
So
Did uh-huh.
you finish.
I wanted the link to those. Yes, tell me more about that music side.
Okay, so I'm actually still doing it. I'm not a musician. I'm just a producer. I'm a music producer. I'm actually doing it, but I'm not doing it like
Okay.
how I used to. Yeah, but I still have some productions out there. I still have some productions out there. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. No, keep it up. Keep it up. You don't bury what you're born with. You can learn a skill, but the passion of what, you grow up doing, you can do it on the side,
Yep.
produce good music because, music is like, they say the universal language. Keep it up. And uh, much many people through music as you are doing your IT full time. All right. Thank you. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you too.
Yeah, and I still haven't got the demo tape yet from you, and I've been asking for like 5 years now.
Don't worry, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. It's actually a
All
song
right.
that I'm on, but I didn't sing anything. I was just on the song. My name is on there, but I didn't sing anything.
Yeah,
I was
we
say,
gonna need that.
yeah, I was rather singing with the instrument.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we gonna
Oh,
need that.
you did the beat.
Yes, yes, I did.
Ah, awesome.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So we are way past time, but that was well worth the wait, I think. Um, Thank you so much to those of you who hung out with us. I'm just going to go ahead and close real quick. So for those of you that want to like experiment in Microsoft 365, you can get a free-ish dev account, but you have to have Visual Studio, Professional, or Enterprise in order for it to work. But you can scan that QR code. Other than that, you can get a trial and then extend it up to 90 days, even though that's not a permanent solution, but it can give you something. Also, don't forget to join us on the Microsoft Tech communities because, excuse me, once we get enough folks to join us, we will be shutting down the community on the LinkedIn side. And that's just because the events are, they don't automatically get added to your calendar. You don't get notifications and things like that. But with the tech community, you definitely get it. And it's a Microsoft Tech community. So fits right on in. If you like, you could just send us your email and we can send you an invite directly from the tech community. So you can either put it in the chat or you can send it to us at Ananse Tech at cissatechafrica.com. And then we hope to see you in July. Remember, the fourth Thursday, so it's going to be the 23rd of July. The QR code for the next event is here. Now, we're giving you the QR codes now that are from Microsoft Tech Community and not from LinkedIn because, again, we're trying to switch to the Tech Community, which is a better fit for our community anyway. So glad that you all stayed with us. Hope you enjoyed, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Everybody.